demonstration by DeeDee Clarke, a professional occupational therapist, to tell us a little bit about the equipment that we loan out to our clients of MELP. So take it away, DeeDee.
Great. Morning. Hi, Aug.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, thanks for doing this. As Scott said, I'm an occupational therapist, and that can mean a lot of different things. My normal job is that I have my own business and I go home to home. And so I treat people in their homes, which is like my favorite part of my job because they're in their own environments. Mostly people who have had strokes or other neurological problems that affect their balance or their function or their ability to be safe and independent at home. So the way that my job fits into MELP is that I work with my patients to be as safe and independent in their homes as possible. And I have a big focus on fall prevention. And the reason that MELP is so amazing and this whole program is so amazing is that you guys are giving out tools that keep people safe, keep people in their homes as long as they want to stay in their homes, prevent them from falling and getting injured, and just make their lives, this like simple equipment makes people's lives easier. And it is amazing how many people, like they know they need a wheelchair for certain situations, but they don't want to, spend the time or the money to go out and get a wheelchair, or a bath bench or whatever. So this program is amazing. And I always say that as an occupational therapist, you've probably heard me say this, I come down here on Saturdays and for an OT, it's like Christmas. I'm like, ooh, this person could use this and maybe I can try this. And otherwise what I'm doing is I'm going onto Amazon, I'm ordering, I'm taking it to the person's house, I'm trying it, it's not working, I'm taking it back. And so this program for me is a game changer because it allows me to come down, grab 3 things, try them out, 2 don't work, bring them back. Like it's great. So thank you to all of you guys. But the thing about it is that there's so much here. And so I kind of narrowed down today as focusing on mobility devices. So we'll start with that. If we have time, we have half an hour. If we have time, we'll do bathing equipment. If not, we'll just stick to the canes, walkers, wheelchairs, things that make people move more easily. And one theme that I wanted to, come up to bring to you today is, and Scott and I have talked a lot about this, is like the wording that we use as volunteers when people come in to MELP is super important because like the liability that we have in giving things out, there is liability there. So what we cannot do as volunteers is we cannot recommend anything. Like we can't use the word recommend. We can't tell somebody what they need because we don't know them. We don't know what medical problems they have, what physical limitations or abilities they have. We don't know what their houses look like. So we simply don't know what they need. It's up to them, it's up to their doctors, their physical or occupational therapists, or their family members to help figure out what is the best piece of equipment. However, what we can do is they're gonna, of course this, they're gonna request something and you're gonna bring it out to them, maybe 2 different types of that equipment, and you're gonna tell them all about the equipment, the features of the equipment, how to adjust the equipment, and what maybe the pros and cons are, but you're not gonna say, this is what you need, because they could go home, they could fall using it, and they could come back and say, well, you told me I needed that, and now I'm going to, take action against you. So it's just to protect ourselves and simply, like, we really don't know their whole situation. So Scott asked me to kind of, incorporate that as a theme when we're talking today in how we word things. And really what I realized is it comes back to, this is the general guideline, or this is how it's generally done, and this is your starting point, and then you can make adjustments from there. But I'll show you as we go along. So please ask questions.
DeeDee?
Yeah.
Oftentimes we'll have people requesting wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And I ask, is the person that's using it able to function properly with it, use the wheelchair? They'll say, maybe not. I said, then I'll recommend, I said, maybe they should have a transport chair.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not the right thing to do?
Yes. So what I'll do is I'm going to start here. I'm going to go all the way down the line, and I'm going to compare transport chairs and wheelchairs, and then ask me that question.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe a similar question. For instance, canes, I mean, people like that one. You say, which one should I use? Can you say most people prefer this one over that one? Can you say that? Or is that?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, okay.
You just don't want to say you need this one.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into canes then. So Scott's beautiful. You have so many different types of canes, right? So I kind of went through them. I picked out kind of the most popular ones. This is just a basic one. Usually what happens if somebody, a family member, a person themselves, a friend, a doctor, realizes that somebody's having balance problems or mobility problems, then somebody's going to suggest to them, maybe you should have a cane or a walker. If they go through their doctor, the doctor is going to send a referral for them to go to a physical therapist and have their gait analyzed and figure out what tool would be recommended. But sometimes that doesn't happen, they just end up here or online or whatever. So here are kind of the choices. A simple 1-point cane. The cons about this is that it's not height adjustable, so it might be too tall or too short for somebody, and it falls over. So if you're in the kitchen and you're at the sink, it could end up on the ground, and then the person has to bend over to pick it up, and that might cause a fall. On the flip side, you could, hook it on the refrigerator handle or the stove handle and keep it upright when you're through the kitchen. It's kind of a very traditional feeling device. So pros and cons to that.
DeeDee,
Yeah.
on a monopoint cane that is height adjustable, what is the proper height that somebody should aim here with it set up?
So that's like exactly the main thing that I want to talk about, so thank you. So these are height adjustable, as are the walkers. And so this is something that definitely you guys could do. You bring them a choice, they try different ones, and they figure out what the best stability is. And the general rule, this is your starting point, so you can say to them, the general rule is that you stand tall, and I think, Chris, we were talking about this the other day?
Yeah,
and you adjust it to the height of their wrist crease. So this one would be a little bit low for me. And what you're trying to do, I thought I adjusted one to the right size. Let's try this one. So what you're trying to do is, as they're standing tall, their elbows should be bent at about 15 degrees. That's kind of the general guideline. Depending on that person, you start there, and then maybe they want to make it a little taller or a little shorter. That's fine, but you can give them their starting point. So that's going to be true. Same general rule for canes and walkers. So that makes it super easy. And we'll get to walkers in a minute, but the handle is at the wrist crease. Okay. People like this one because it gives them a little bit more stability than the 1-point. And if you're in the kitchen or the house, it stands up. And people really, really like that feature, again, because you don't want them to be bending down if they have hip problems or back problems, or they're gonna fall. So this one, you just adjust the height. This one, these also are very popular. And these, though, people don't realize that, well, there's different, sizes at the bottom. I can show that on the video. So this one is gonna give you more stability than the smaller one. But B, sometimes people get confused. Like, which way does the handle go? Handle goes backwards. But once the handle goes backwards, there's still a direction to it. There's a right, left. So these 2 feet are, you know, straight, and these stick out. So if this is this is a right. If this was on the left side, then as I would take my step, these legs, you're gonna kick them. So as a volunteer, you would have them maybe try, you know, a couple of canes, figure out the stability they like, and then they have to decide which arm they're gonna use. So the general rule, I don't know if this is written in stone or anything, but in my experience, if they have balance problems, just general balance problems, they're gonna put the cane in their non-dominant hand, ideally, because then you wanna walk around and you wanna be able to, you know, grab something out of the cabinet with your dominant hand. If they have an injury on one side or the other, usually the cane is gonna go in the opposite hand. If that makes sense. So there's a little bit of, you know, discussion with these as far as getting them set up right for people. Questions about that?
Can you make it right out of the left?
Oh, yes,
Right?
sorry.
Just one, yeah, okay, I just wasn't sure.
Just,
Yeah.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
swing it around. Okay, so then,
And before we leave canes, there's also a type of cane that we get occasionally that has a kind of a bungee cord interior and it's foldable.
yeah, I saw
Now, are
that.
those inherently less stable or less desirable? I know the feature of it is it's collapsible, but from a therapist perspective, do you believe a rigid cane is better than that, or are they equivalent?
I mean, I think that they're pretty stable, but definitely something rigid is inherently gonna have more stability. It kind of depends on, is somebody using it just to, like, you know, kind of balance themselves, or are they really, like, you know, pushing on it?
Got it.
If somebody's really pushing on it, then they probably need a walker or something more stable, so.
Thank you.
Crutches, I don't really use crutches very much in my job, but the general rule is a crutch should be about 2 inches from the armpit, and their arms, so there's adjustability here, and that, again, same thing, their arms should be at about 15 degrees of a bend, and when they're walking with it, the weight should be on their hands, not in their armpits, because you have your nerves that go through your armpits and you don't want to irritate the nerves under there. Okay, so if a cane isn't stable enough, then the next step up is going to be a walker. So the kind of generic silver walkers are like kind of the first go-to, and then the rollators are the next. As a general rule, these are more indoor walkers, I would say. Rollators are more outdoor walkers, but these can go outdoors, those can go indoors. It's just a starting point. So your job is to say, here's a walker. You can have, just the rubber at the bottom. You can have small meat wheels, you can have large wheels. You can have tennis balls, or you can have those little sled slider things. And I know you guys know that there's a whole bin of accessories back there. And they have to figure out what they need. So you can provide the different options. You can ask them questions like, do you have carpet? Well, maybe you can consider wheels. But if they put 4 wheels on, they may be out of control. Maybe you put 2 wheels on the front, 2 big wheels on the front, sliders on the back, because sliders will slide better on carpet. Hardwood floors, I like the tennis balls because the tennis balls don't scratch up the floors and they're really easy, they slide really easily.
So they're not designed for outdoor use, actually.
Well, I mean, I have plenty of people that go outdoors with them. So, but typically they're more indoor. Yeah. The thing about the tennis balls, I don't know if you've ever tried to cut a tennis ball. It's really hard and dangerous to put little slits in tennis balls. You go online to Amazon and you order, you order Walker tennis balls. Please tell people to do that because I've tried and it's really hard. They just have little X's in them and they slip right on. Over time, and you can see at the bottom of these tennis balls, they wear out, and these actually are worn out. One of them is worn out on the bottom, so they will need to change them over time. Backing up a little bit, same thing, you're gonna help them adjust for height at the wrist crease. You guys already know this, but they fold up, they're light, they fold up, they go in and out of the car super easily. And the other tip I have is that if somebody comes in and they ask for a walker, you can say to them, help them out, make sure they like it. And then you say to them, do you have stairs in your house? Getting in the house, getting out of the house, going up to a second story. Walkers are super hard to use on stairs, of course. So such a simple solution, you give them a walker for every level.
Right.
So here, take 2 walkers, one at the top of your stairs, one at the bottom. I have one lady, I was thinking about her this morning, she has 4 different walkers in 4 different parts of her house. All of them are different based on what she needs. So the one in her kitchen has like a tray on it so she can bring her food from the, you know, the stove to the here. The other one is like heavier duty because she has to walk a long distance, so it has a lot of like weight to it. And then she has a couple upstairs. So she holds onto the rail going up and then she grabs onto her next walker. Also, in general, you want people walking hands-free. So you don't want somebody walking with a cane or a walker and carrying things. So especially with a cane, maybe a backpack or a purse. Not a purse that like goes over one shoulder, so you have to make sure it stays on, but like a crossbody purse. Or bags, trays, or baskets. So I pulled some of these. I can always find something here on these shelves mostly, right? Or here's the baskets over here.
They move around.
They move around. So this basket, you know, is nice and easy. It's not perfect. It has to come off if you're gonna fold the walker up. People love baskets. It's so interesting. The drawback is if you pull up to a sink and you wanna wash your hands, you're kind of far away. So sometimes I take some zip ties and I adapt it and I actually put the basket inside right here. And they like that. Oh, one thing I forgot to say, this is important. This is my main thing. If you're using a walker, ideally you want to be standing up tall and you want to be inside the walker. But people like to be as stable as possible, so they do this. So we want to encourage them to be inside. I saw that you guys have a lot of these trays, and they're really nice because they just, you know, slip on so easily. But what's the problem? They can't stand inside the walker. They have to do this. So as much as I like the convenience of these, I've never given this to anybody because of that reason. But then, see, I love this place because then I looked around and I found this other tray. And this tray is so nice because you can still be inside the walker and the tray is still right there. Now the thing is, you can't, this walker would stay in the house because if you needed to fold it up and go into the car, you have to take the tray off. So you have a different walker for the car. And then I found this bag over somewhere, and then I found this bag. And we always want people to be carrying their cell phones with them, even around the house. So how do you carry your cell phone? Oh, I put it in my pocket. Well, your pockets change every day, and does it fall out of your pocket? Like, let's get you, how about you find like a little bag that goes on your walker for your cell phone. I had one lady, I do rebuilding together, home visits, and she had a walker that literally had every single thing she could possibly need for that day attached to her walker. Her makeup, her coffee, her phone, her brush, her snacks. She had it all organized, trays and bags, and she'd go around, and it was great and brilliant. So, questions about walkers? Am I okay on time? Okay, we'll do rollator quickly because it's a lot of the same things. So height adjustable, again. Some of them are different up there, but this is an easy one. This has to turn and come all the way out, and then you adjust it to the wrist crease. These have the four rotating tires, so they're squirrelier for people. So, you know, it's a lot of this. Again, people are gonna wanna do this, but you want them to be, you know, upright. Bag down below. And if you want to fold these up and put them in a car, it's like this. They're heavier, but still manageable. And the one tip I wanted to share about a rollator is that, and thank you to you guys, because I know you spend time making sure the brakes are good. But even if the brakes are in perfect condition, they're never perfect. So if somebody wants to sit down, I tell them either you need somebody to be holding on while you turn and sit, or if you're by yourself, I need you to put it up against a wall and then take your time. This hand comes over, this hand comes over, your nose goes down, and you sit. And you know that those brakes are not necessarily gonna hold. So against a wall or a person holding. I know you guys give out a lot of rollators.
Yes.
Great.
They're so popular. Okay. So you guys have two main kinds of wheelchairs, transport and one regular with big wheels. Sometimes people just need wheelchairs, you know, for certain situations. If somebody really needs a wheelchair full time, then probably their doctor is going to write a prescription for them to have like a wheelchair ordered and customed to their body for their situation. Lighter weight, you know, more functional, but the chairs here are great for anybody who is either going to be pushed by somebody else or who's going to push their wheelchair to short distances. So transport chair, 4 wheels, somebody else is always going to be pushing you and doing the brakes. They're nice. I know you guys already know this, but they're nice because they fold up and they're light. They can go in the back of a car really easily. Usually, you know, people have these just to go out to dinner or to doctor's appointments or, you know, trips in the community.
This is really helpful.
Is it?
It
Okay,
really is.
good. And ask questions too as we're going. Transport chairs are not meant to fit anybody very well. They're not super comfortable if you're to sit in one, but they serve a really good purpose in just getting somebody from point A to point B. Some of the handles fold down just for folding convenience in the car. And one thing I wanted to make sure to talk about is that if you give out a wheelchair, make sure you give out a cushion if you can. I found the cushions over here. It's pretty uncomfortable, and then you're sitting down pretty low if you're sitting in a chair without a cushion, and your feet, you know, your knees are going to be up, and there's a lot of pressure on your tailbone or on your butt bones. So grab a cushion that that seems to fit the seat of the chair and it is comfortable for the person. If you don't have a cushion that is gonna fit the chair, then they can go Amazon or Walgreens. Actually, Walgreens in San Carlos has really a pretty good medical section. I think they have cushions.
DeeDee, if we're in a situation where we don't have the footrests,
Yeah.
what do we tell the people?
You mean that Milk doesn't have a footrest that fits the
Exactly.
chair?
So a lot of times we get them without the footrest. It happens on wheelchairs a lot as well.
Okay. Well, actually
And
what
we try to match them up sometimes. but-
Right. Sometimes, especially for short distances, they can just, if they're in a transport chair, they probably have some function and they can probably just keep their legs lifted up when they're going, or if there's one, you know, if
Right.
you can find them one at least,
Yeah, yeah.
that should be okay. What I realized is a lot of the footrests do fit on different chairs because I mixed and matched these just for today. But yes, sometimes you could be without a footrest. Okay, this is my last thing probably.
Let me move this out of your way.
Okay, yeah, 3 minutes. So you can say to somebody, they're gonna want a wheelchair, you're gonna go back, you're gonna look at them and you're gonna see what size they are, and then you're gonna go back, you're gonna do your best guess for their size, and you're gonna probably just pull out one chair to start with. You're gonna have them sit in it. You want it as thin as possible so it gets through doorways, first as a starting point. In general, you want about 1 inch on each side of their hips. What you definitely don't want is you don't want their hips to be rubbing because then it causes skin problems. Don't want skin problems, but you want to allow a little bit of space for jackets and for, you know, wiggling around. As far as depth, you want about 1 inch or 2 in this space in between the cushion and their knee in the front of, you know, the space right here. And then ideally, you want their footrests, you want their knees to be at about 90 degrees. So the first thing you want to do actually is get them a cushion because you want to, you know, make sure that you're looking at their fit with the cushion on.
Oftentimes we're giving a wheelchair to somebody who's picking it up for somebody.
Oh,
Most
interesting.
of the time.
Yeah.
It very
Oh,
seldom-
that's interesting. I
Yeah,
didn't
very seldom we
think
have
of
the
that.
actual person.
Didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think at that point, you're just doing the best you can. You can ask them man, tall man,
Yeah,
short
that's what we
woman,
do, yeah.
petite, big, overweight,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of different widths over there. You have okay, so that brings me to features. So you can show them all the features of the wheelchair. You know, this particular armrest comes up. Some of them come off altogether. In specific situations, this is really important for the people that I work with because, you know, they may have had a stroke or whatever, the spinal cord injury, and they need to just slide out of their chair. They don't have the ability to stand up and get around the armrest. So sometimes with commode chairs too, I need them to slide from here to here, onto the toilet or onto the bed. So that's really nice. Or these fold up also, but it's really hard. These are really heavy. If you have somebody putting these in the back of a car, if at all possible, 2 people to manage getting in and out of a car. One thing that I noticed, and I forgot to check the rest of the wheelchairs, but this wheelchair doesn't have the anti-tip bars. Have you guys noticed, like, usually wheelchairs will have, so they don't tip over backwards. So I don't know what to do about that, or it's a separate conversation. And then sometimes people need seatbelts, and I did see seatbelts
Some of them have,
back there.
yeah.
And then back to the footrest. Sorry, I'm just like throwing all these things in there at this point. You know, they should swing out. They should also come off, depending on what situation you need. And then this one is a little bit more complicated because it also adjusts up. I can't remember how this one does. So this one comes off this way.
To see if there's any customers out there.
Okay. Anyway, this comes up so he can be elevated.
I think it's that silver bar on the inside.
Oh, thank you. And as you can also see, if they're too high and their knees are coming up and they're not at 90 degrees, there's a pin right here that you can adjust the height of the wheelchair. So you can help them adjust to you can help them adjust the wheelchairs if they're, or show them how to adjust it and give them the general rules. About an inch here, 1 or 2 inches here, knees at 90 degrees. So maybe they take it home to their person and they can adjust it at home, given the information you give them.
DeeDee, this has been fantastic.
Yeah.
We will have, we look forward to session 2 in the
Okay.
future. Okay?
Bathroom equipment.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.